You getting stretched out there, ready to go, Danny?
I'm loose. I'm ready.
Okay. Yeah, you got to always get in record, shape,
At our age, you got to get the kinks out,
no doubt. I better hold on. Let's look like real Twinkies. All right. I got glasses, although I have glare. You don't have glare. How do you get rid of your glare?
If you tilt the back of the glasses up off your ears by a fraction of an inch and tilt them forward, it'll actually get rid of it.
Until I do that.
Well, that's up to you.
Uh,
Welcome to Hobby Think Tank.
Yeah, this is Hobby Think Tank. I'm Mike. That's Danny. Or if you can't, that's only if you can't read our names. How you been?
I've actually been fantastic. Kids are out of school on vacation. You and I are threading the needle between trips, some more moral than others, and I'm having a good time at the beach.
Nice.
Yeah.
Summer is upon us. The travel season.
The amount of sugar I have ingested in the last 72 hours. It's a blessing to be here, Mike. It really is.
Are you going to the dentist anytime soon?
No, but I'm making them a lot of money when I get home.
Right. Well, what's our topic today, Danny?
The world of autographs and autograph authentication.
Let's think tank this sucker.
We
don't talk about this a lot. Everybody always wants us. They say we talk about the same thing on Hobby Think Tank all the time. So we're gonna go down the road of this. And what brought this up as a topic for Danny and I is I actually bought an autograph from Danny. Is it okay if I tell this story, Danny?
Through a client. Yep.
Your client, right? Not from you directly, but you had somebody and you kind of were the middleman and said, "Hey, this guy has this. Do you want it?" And I said, "Yes, absolutely. I would love it." We made a deal for the card, sent the card off to PSA DNA. It came back with questionable authenticity. You were awesome and gave me a refund. I still have the card. I'm going to give it to you at the National, and we'll see what happens from there. Maybe JSA will certify it. Who knows? And so it just brought up this idea of PSA, no matter who it is, autograph authentication, and how much can we rely on it? How much does it matter? All those things.
Not only that, until CGC bought JSA, there was not a lot of options for on-card autos. And now we're up to 2 whole options, right? 3. Well, 2.5 if you count Beckett.
That was counting Beckett as the third one, but yes.
So I think that's part of it also, is if you're somebody who has a card, who do you trust and who do you want your card graded with? I mean, that comes into it also.
Authenticated with, right? Different than grading.
Well, but if you also want to grade it, I may prefer to grade with PSA, so I may take their autograph service along because I want the grade.
Why do you think it is there's so few companies that authenticate autographs? I mean, SGC got out of the business of doing that.
Because I think grades are opinions and autographs are they're legal. They're an actual positive stamp of something. They're an assurance that something is correct. When you're grading, that's easy. That's your opinion, my opinion. We can do math, we can measure and all that, but we can't necessarily be wrong.
Right. The subjectivity of grading allows for more freedom of
entrance to the market, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, if you're wrong on an auto, and believe me, I've been through my fair share of controversy over that. It's, there are people I know in the hobby that say, I will never, ever buy an autograph that I didn't see the person sign myself.
Yep.
And yet I know people that have gotten autographs signed themselves. One guy in one of my recent videos, a guy commented he got Frank Thomas literally at the ballpark. Frank Thomas, he's gotten Nolan Ryan, some other guys, and he sent the Frank Thomas in, and it failed. It had questionable. It didn't fail. It's
So
never fails.
we want to. I want to get into this because that's important language they use.
It is the way we describe it. The syntax that we use matters in this context of this conversation. But it came back questionable authenticity, and he was like, "Dude, I saw him sign it. Like, I know he signed it." So there's that whole dynamic of it, and it it's just tough. It's a tough world to be in, which is why I think there's only 3 companies that do it.
So let's talk about the card that you had bought originally. You chose to go through. Can we talk about which company you used?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So you chose PSA. Now, did you choose them for their authentication abilities or because you like to grade with PSA and have your cards in PSA slabs?
Both. Um, I would say easily both. Probably the number one reason is the slab, if I'm being truthful. Although with my autograph collection, I am much more slab gnostic. I don't. I have plenty of Beckett slabbed autographs, plenty of JSA authenticated autographs. So of the major 3, I certainly tilt more PSA DNA, and I have more of those. But I'll buy as long as it has one of those 3. I'm pretty happy.
It came back questionable authenticity, which is their version of saying we're not saying yes. And this is where the syntax matters. They are not saying that they're verifying it fake, but they're saying they are unwilling to verify it as true. And
Yes.
that's a nice loophole to be able to put yourself through when you're charging full price, no matter what. Um, so, how do you feel about the terminology? Let's start there.
Well, from a legal standpoint, it's pretty much the only thing they can say, right? They can't say we know this is not real, because they weren't there when the person signed it or didn't sign it either. Whoever did sign the card, they didn't witness that either. And so, and this is true for, this isn't just PSA DNA. This would be any of them. Uh, they are basically saying we can't say that yes for that, we're not willing to say and put our name behind the authenticity of this autograph for whatever reason, that they might have.
And for full explanation, we're talking about something that was an on-card auto after not
Yeah.
part of the printing run, which matters because SGC is not an option in this conversation. At the time, you had 2 choices at the time. Now that CGC will be opening up with JSA, it adds a 3rd option.
In terms
I'm
of
gonna
slabbing. Yes.
yes, thank you. In terms of slabbing this card,
Yeah.
so I'm going to take it to the national. Forgetting any money or anything else. Do you trust JSA, Beckett? Trust them equal?
Well, there's different people doing it. So I don't think I trust any of them more or better or worse. Is Steve Grad still at Beckett? I guess he
I
was at
think he,
PSA.
yeah.
There's certain people that are known as authenticators that have a hobby known thing. There's people that don't work for a company that are kind of good at identifying autographs. Frank, our buddy Frank, is pretty good at spotting real or not real. And so it's just, no, I don't think I have a preference if that's what you're asking.
So would you then go by slab again?
Um, yeah, I don't think that PSA's inability to authenticate the autograph should deter you from trying to authenticate it with another company to see if they can render an opinion. By the way, they're all still opinions,
Absolutely. And
right?
there's a I'm going to say there's a 95% chance I'm getting the exact same answer that you got. So I'm not, for sake of this, clarification, I'm under no illusions that anything went wrong.
Right.
Um, but the one we're talking about would be so cool if it does work out. I'd like it to. Um,
Yeah. Not
you know,
not a cheap. It was Kirby Puckett on a
yeah,
Diamond Kings card, right? And
yeah.
so
Hall of
Puckett's
Famers are tough.
last I checked, he's not signing anymore. So
It may be why my TTMs are not getting returned.
maybe. In terms of, they're all pretty similar in terms of cost. What's funny is they have tiers of cost. PSA DNA, particularly, is who I'm talking about here. It costs $300 to authenticate a Babe Ruth versus $15 to authenticate, or $20 to authenticate Gaylord Perry. Why do you think there's a difference there? I know their explanation. I don't know that I buy it, but
I mean, liability.
right.
Yeah,
Who's going to fake a Gaylord Perry, right?
right.
And they do stand behind it. If they authenticate it and it somehow is proven to be not real, there's a guarantee behind that.
And I guess we should give a little history. For people who don't know, autographs in the hobby have been heavily, heavily, heavily faked for many years. So this is not a new conversation, I guess. It's just, how much, do you care about having it authenticated versus did you get it yourself? Do you authenticate stuff you get yourself
Yes, I have.
just for your own collection knowledge?
Protection, mainly. I have some stuff that my dad got for me at the ballpark when I was a kid, that I was there when Phil Rizzuto signed a 54 Bowman card or whatever. He just asked for it. And so I know it's real. It's not a worry there. I wanted to protect the card. I wanted to get a third party opinion instead of me telling some story about where I got it, right? Down the road, it makes it, if I kick the bucket tomorrow, Julie can sell that in a slab way easier than not in a slab, period, paragraph. And it's worth the $20 or $25, whatever I
No.
paid to do that, for that peace of mind and ease and liquidity of that item. It wasn't to add value, although I think it does, but that wasn't the primary reason I did it. Let
But it
let's
does.
think this, because I want to ask. Let's see. How can we make the autograph certification world better? Are there solutions out there to make it more? Because there are people that don't even trust PSA DNA, JSA, or Beckett as to their opinion on whether an autograph is real. How can we solve that problem?
Well, that was going to be my next question: is what does CGC and JSA have to do for people to like them better than calling all three of them interchangeable? And to think tank it like you asked it, I think you have to have a company with a reputation that withstands, and I think that's the hardest part of the whole game is who do you trust?
Well, now we're even seeing pack inserted autographs signed by, brother-in-law or what, we've seen that with
Excellent point.
Dak Prescott. I'm trying to think, Luca, his mom signing or whatever, or uh, auto pins, you name your thing, even stuff sent directly to the player. Or, God, what was that dual autograph that looked like it was signed by a 12-year-old or something?
Yep.
I'm just trying to think of even recent examples of, can we even trust pack inserted autographs? By and large, I would say yes, but it's not 100%. And that's where you have to get mentally with the autograph game. I think anybody that thinks it's 100% going to be right all the time is fooling yourself. And you simply have to be okay with a certain fail rate, both in your opinion and the opinion of the third party authenticators. You just have to accept that. And if you're not willing to accept that, then maybe that's not your game. It's autographs.
So you're saying it's not a trust; it's a accepting the fail rate.
Yeah, just accepting that no one's going to be right all the time. I have a Babe Ruth autograph. We did a Babe Ruth autograph on Chasing Cardboard. Uh, Mine is authenticated in a PSA DNA slab. I stuck it next to. I initially I thought it was real. We sent it off to someone who would know, who said no. And I say we, me and Frank, and they said absolutely not, horrible forgery. Send it off to PSA DNA. It comes back in a slab, authentic.
Uh,
Um, and it looks nothing like mine. Like they look very different. Both
so
Babe Ruth.
and here's my thing: how many things do you sign? Does your signature look identical?
No, it 100% does not. It looks. I actually have two different signatures. I have a signature when I'm like signing an official document where I spell out my name and make it look much more legible, and it's neater. And then I have a on the fly signature. A quicker signature. Both are me signing it, right?
Yep.
And so there is a difference in those, just like and Ruth's signature evolved over time as well. Mickey Mantle's signature, Willie Mays' signature you can distinguish the time period in which it was signed,
Yep.
um, based on the way the signature looks.
I mean,
Mantle's signature looked very different in his early years.
and typically these companies are using exemplars, and that's where the fail rate to me is based upon, because you can't have an exemplar for every Mike Moynihan signature that's ever been out there.
Right. They, I think all the companies will use uh, they'll use things like official document, like contracts and things that player had to be there to sign it. Like there's no, subbing in your father-in-law. You were there. Um, you're going to sign your social security card. You're going to sign whatever. They're going to have official documents that are exemplars to use for that player. Um, Heck, I bet PSA DNA. Let's say PSA for sure. Maybe the other companies. If I was them, I would go to each player that's still living that is common, right? I mean, I don't need to go get an Al Hrabosky, exemplar, but
Nothing against the Herboskis; they're lovely people.
the man, Mad Hungarian.
Yeah,
I'm just some esoteric player. They probably do have exemplars of them, but I'd go to Mike Schmidt and I'd say, Mike, can you sign something for us that like you have a certain template that you use for each player? Give them a couple of different pins, let them use a few different colors, and have them sign their name,
that's a great point. Also,
and have this known stockpile of exemplars. We were there. They signed these little template cards for us so that we have them in our database and can use them to compare other signatures. Um, George Brett, Ozzie Smith, name your guy, right? They
should those be publicly available?
I, on the PSA database, they are on the PSA website. There's a lot of that available
The
currently.
exemplars I'm talking about.
Not yes, um, not this example that I'm talking about where they
Okay.
create a standard deal. Um, and they should, every major league player, or you could do that relatively quick. How many you have to go to 30 clubhouses, during spring training, and you could knock that out in an hour. You know, how hard is it to say, hey, can you do that? Do this for us or whatever. Work with the teams and all that kind of deal. To me, that then you start building this record, right? That you can then use going forward. The problem is forgeries,
Yes.
and we all know Operation Bullpen. Everybody that cares about autographs knows what that is. Um, these guys, and it happens. I guarantee you, it happens today, where there are guys that are faking, autographs today that are really, really good at it.
Well,
And
do you
guess,
think that Williams and DiMaggio are still being forged better than other players?
maybe I have examples in my own collection of different things that are not real. I have Mays, Mantle, Aaron, Page, DiMaggio, Williams, all known fakes. And I keep them mainly as a, what's the word I want to use? They're a lesson to me that I can be fooled, that I can be faked out. And after I see the fake that looked really good compared to one I know is real, then it's like, gosh, why didn't I see that? It's easy to get fooled, even for a guy like me that's in that world a lot and enjoys that world.
So, like in my world, Cal Ripken, I've seen his autograph tens of thousands of times. I still go back to I think what you said at the beginning, and I never thought of it that way. Is it's really accepting failure because I've gotten his autograph, and this is to your point of being different types of pens, different types of surfaces. I mean, signing a baseball versus signing, a piece of paper is very different, and to have that setup with better exemplars might be the only thing that increases accuracy.
So here's a great, you talk about Ripken. He's one of those guys that has an autograph that can vary even today, like the way he signs. Here's my book, the Play Baseball the Ripken Way. I
Yep.
think every kid should have this, right? Well, he did a book signing at Sam's Club, believe it or not. Whenever this book came out, which was a long time ago, let me look at the publishing date. This was 2004, so this was a decade ago.
Yeah. A couple
And
years after retire.
my wife and son went up there, and it says Palmer and Mike, Palmer's my son, enjoy Cal Ripken Jr. So they got this from him, and you see the R, and then there's not much Ripken, right?
That's unusual.
And most of them have more of a Ripken part to it. Actually, just got. I wish I could grab them. They're right up there, but they're right there in my slab case.
Your slum museum.
My slab museum. They're in the museum. In fact, Ripken's right there on the front. Hang on, I will grab it.
That is beautiful.
Isn't that beautiful? Rarely on Hobby Think Tank do we have people getting up and moving.
That's our tagline, Hobby Think Tank. You don't have to move much.
But I'm going to just make myself. So there's this Ripken. Okay.
Yep.
See how much more the Ripken is than when I can put them side by side. Let's see if I can do this. Man, that's not as easy as it looks when you can't see what you're showing. But very different looking signatures. Both I think are real. But they look quite different.
Rating spiked there for a second.
Right.
But so, what do you have to do to trust a company to send that away? If you're not going for the slab itself, because that seemed like for both of us that was one of our first choices was what slab is it going to end up in. So if that's not the reason,
well, I don't think a company can do anything to convince you that they're just better at it. They're more accurate, right? Because the technology is what it is. They're using loops and they're looking, is it real ink? Is it printed? Is it, there's all kinds of technology that I'm sure each of the companies employs to determine, is it even a real signature first and foremost, or is it printed? Then is it in the form? Is there any skipping? Is it just free flowing? How does it, because when all of us sign our name, we do it unthinkingly. We just sign our name. And so there are telltale signs of someone trying to sign another name. Like when if I sign Danny Black right now, I'd have to think about forming each letter and how does that look? It's not natural for me to sign Danny Black. It is for you.
Can we think tank a couple quick, easy fake spots?
Yeah.
Exactly what you're talking about. You'll see the pen start and stop at different places and not be a fluid stroke. That's a key giveaway that somebody was not doing their natural signature.
Yeah.
Also, to your point, on the Cal Ripken on the last name, it doesn't have to be the whole name that looks different. Look for a portion of it that doesn't make sense, and see what that's about. Those
I think about the way I sign my name. No matter how I sign it, there are certain things that are the same every time, and that's my M's. They look the same universally, whether I'm signing my formal signature or my quick signature. And so I think that's what they're using. I don't know, maybe there's half a dozen points on someone's audit. Is this letter's always higher than the other one or whatever?
Mhm.
There are that these are just again things that builds this knowledge of different autographs. Frank has that knowledge in his brain. He's a great guy in the community. He does even a series on going through each Hall of Famer, and he's on the Jays. He just finished the Jays, so he's about halfway through. But my point is, you know, each of these companies, I'm sure, are employing that, but I think they could mitigate some of the issues by getting these exemplars in house on file. So if they're authenticating a Cal Ripken, this card came in. They have these cards that they can literally go pull out of a chest of drawers and go, all right, here's the one Cal signed for us. It's different, but are there enough similarities? Are there enough key things that we can say, yeah, this is real. We think this is real, right? That's how
Well,
you solve it.
absolutely. And to your question on to think tank, what do we want in a better company? It sounds like we want the biggest database possible
Of known examples.
of known examples, and that clearly is one of the reasons why a company like CGC wants to buy a JSA versus trying to start it themselves.
Right.
The amount of years and manpower and dollars saved to build up that history.
Yeah, the intellectual property that they're buying is really what they're buying. That corporate knowledge, right,
Yep.
is what they're buying, and probably got a really good value for what they're going to get out of it, right? Or else they wouldn't have done it. Yeah, the autograph world has long been fraught with deception, forgery, criminality, you name it, and it's not going to stop. If you want to know an autograph is real, go get it yourself. And even then, there's no guarantee that the companies are going to pass it. But stay with guys that are alive. Don't buy a Christy Mathewson or Walter Johnson and never buy any of those is what I would tell people that aren't at least with one of the major three third-party authenticators. PSA DNA, Beckett Authentication Services, and JSA. Pick one of those, and at least then you have another opinion. It's not just I think this is real. There's plenty of autographs that I thought were fake that they slabbed, and plenty of times I thought it was real that they said no. So it goes both ways. And you just literally this sounds like a cop out. It's not. You just have to accept that.
Yeah. And for
I'm
insurance
sorry.
reasons, you made a great point. For insurance reasons, the value can be affected, and the proof of it, should you have to make a claim, is a lot better if you have a third party record of the item.
Yeah. And they don't. I had one even on the Babe Ruth. They were like, "Hey, if we send in this affidavit," because the story was the old man, my dad got these as a kid in spring training in the early to mid 30s. Okay. I had a signed affidavit from his dad saying that he got these in his childhood.
Right.
And and it was all, notarized and all this good stuff. And that still doesn't mean it's not they were like, well, I said, I don't know if this is going to pass. Our guy says no. It looks okay to me. And that was really what it didn't look like that on the video, but that was our, hey, we think so. But if this guy's saying no, we can roll the dice. And they charge you, by the way, whether it passes or not. So
Very much so.
You're paying for their opinion. And if their opinion is we can't authenticate that, that's their opinion. It's still an opinion. It's not one that's
And they will not give you a hint of the answer before you pay.
No.
Yeah.
Actually, you can do. That's not true. You can do.
Or maybe at the when you do it in person at the national.
No. There's a service before you. Let's say you had an
Oh,
eBay
they're
item.
pre yeah.
Yeah. Which is what happened on the Rock Autos on Chasing Cardboard. A
Well,
guy had multiple companies do uh, pre-certificate. Like, hey, tell me if you think this is real. All of them came back no. Sent them off to PSA. They all came back in slabs. So
the pre-auto thing is a little bit of a sham to me, but that we can do that on another episode.
yeah, it's but the autograph world is not an autograph, not a world that people should just dive into willy nilly. They should certainly not dive into it with unlimited trust. And so, yeah, just be careful.
I think we just landed the plan on time.
Awesome. Well, we will, somebody will talk to you guys next week on Hobby Think Tank. But
Yep.
thanks, Danny. Good discussion. Would love to hear everybody's thoughts down below.
Like and subscribe. See you
All
later.
right. See ya.